In all the previous videos that we have learned about React, all of them have a single screen, meaning single page. So how can we accommodate multiple screens so that the user can jump onto a different page in our React application? Now you might be thinking you can simply go to the public folder and add one more file like index.html. But this is a single page application, SPA, which means that in the end you will just have one single HTML file. So how can we create the illusion that the customer, the user, is actually going to different pages? We are going to achieve this by displaying components on different screens or different routes, different URLs. And to accommodate that, we're going to install a separate package which is called React Router DOM. So I'm going to go ahead and start with npm install React Router DOM. And make sure that you install the React Router DOM and not React Router. The React Router DOM means that we are installing it for React.js, which is for the web. The React Router might be for the native or some other package which targets some other platform for React. So make sure that you're installing React Router DOM. Now this can take a little bit of time to install, so make sure that the installation is finished before proceeding. Alright, so now finally we have installed React Router DOM, and now we need to integrate it with our application. Now this has to be done early stages, so I'm going to go into index.js, which is the main file that gets executed when you run your application, and we are going to construct our routes over here. This means that this file will be used to dictate that if you go to /movies, you should see the movies page. If you go to /add movie, you should see the add movie page, and so on. In order to achieve that, I'm going to go ahead and first of all import the browser router. So browser router switch, and there's another thing which is called route from React Router DOM. Once we have imported browser router, switch, and route, now we can go ahead and move forward in configuring our routes. So I'm going to go inside this react.render, which is rendering our components, at least the root components, and remove the app component. And inside over here, I can go ahead and say browser router. And browser router is more of a container component, so it can contain other components. Next, I'm going to go ahead and create a route with a component. So this is a component that you want to display. So I'm going to just say over here app component. That's the component I want to display, and the path that the user will go so that you can show this component. So which path do you want to go? So I'm going to just type in foo over here just to show you that now if we go to foo, it should render the app component. Let's go ahead and save it and perform npm start. Now the app component might not have anything, but that's perfectly fine. And let's go ahead and load it over here. We are loading our page. So this is trying to go to the root component. And you can see that when we go to the root route, which is localhost 3000, it doesn't render any component at all. And the reason is that, well, in our routes that we have defined over here, there is no route, no URL that goes to the root component. I mean, this is going to go to the root component, but we don't really have that. But we do have a route called /foo. So let's go ahead and go over here and add /foo. And now this is our app component. I can actually go to app and change this to app so that you know it's an app component, and change this to h1 so that we can clearly see that we are rendering the app component. There we go. Now if I go to index.js and if I change this route to something else, let's say just slash, this is a root component. And now if I go to the foo, it still works, which is weird, right? If I go to the root route, it still works. So why does it work when we go to slash foo? Because, I mean, there is no route over here that is explaining that this is a foo route. We are only mapping the root route. Okay, so now we have this route, but it is working on the root and it is working on foo. So why and how? So what exactly happens is that when you type in any kind of a route over here, and it starts matching character by character. So whenever it reaches the route which is root, it displays this route, which is render the app component. When we go to foo, it still matches character by character, and it reaches at this point right here with the slash. It's like, hey, I know that there is a route defined for the root, which is this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and render app also. It doesn't even look at the foo word, it just renders the root route because it is matching what the user has typed. Now, if we want to perform an actual match, just slash or just foo, we can go ahead and say exact. So now when we go to foo, it's just going to display nothing over here because there is no route for foo which exactly matches foo. But if I go to this route, which is just slash, you can see that it is now matching the root route. All right. So this is kind of like the introduction to our routing system. Now let's go ahead and create another component. So I'm just going to go over here and create another component. I will say add movie. You can call this anything you want. And we will just quickly create this particular component. So I'm just going to copy paste something and I'll just call it add movie and add movie and add movie. Okay, so now we have another component called add movie. And let's see that if we can display that by going to a particular route. So I'll go to index and I will copy this route, paste it. I will say, go ahead and show me add movie route when we go to add slash movie. And we don't really need the exact wording over here unless you have something going on with add movie slash something, but we don't. Now let's go ahead and refresh the page. This is our root route and it is displaying, well, the app component. And if I go to add movie, now it shows me the add movie component. So now it is going between two different routes. You can see that, right? Great. Now this is really, really good that we can actually go to different components based on the route. But whenever you go to a website, if you go over here and if I draw a website, if I go ahead and draw a website, if this is a website, one page, let's say page number 1, and there is page number 2 of the website, like a different page of the same website, and there is a content right here. What do you think in the website actually will change? If this is the header, so I'm just going to write header over here, and this is the footer of the page, and this is the content of the page. Once again, this is the header of the page, this is the footer of the page, and this is the content of the page. So if you go to many different websites, from page 1 you click on something and you go to page number 2, what is the actual part that is changing? The content. The content is the part that is changing. The header, it remains the same. The footer remains the same. But the content is the part that is being replaced by new content. So how can we achieve this kind of a look without duplicating and copy-pasting headers and footers everywhere? So this is a concept of children, and we're going to learn next that how we can create one layout which will be responsible for creating the base layout for our whole entire website.